as a postal service because you can send messages to people. Their phone numbers have become their postal code. You can even use it to scan documents. You can use it to record. So you don't need, when you go for interviews, you don't need to have that recorder. You can as well just take this to record. So it has sort of cannibalized a lot of other businesses who have resisted to change. Just imagine Kodak had transformed or had, piloted the digital camera age, and they even went a step further to create an Instagram. Their business would have survived over time. But unfortunately, they resisted to change. So right now, COVID-19 has just shown people right now that if you're still doing things the old way, it's possible for you to still be productive and, let your employees work from home. But if you're still stuck in, no, everyone has to come, you have to clock in, and that clock in system is still the analog one where you have to maybe put your thumb, maybe press a button, or you have a card that you have to put inside and all whatnot. It'll be difficult for your business to survive. The second type of businesses, those who change because they were unsuccessful. Those ones who came late, the late bloomers. Okay, this is happening. So I think just like how you have Google, Zoom, their shares soared and billions, they're worth billions now. And Google decided, okay, I think we should have a Google Duo meeting. Let's also tap into that. So you have the likes of Fela Anikulapo Kuti, who is one of my favorite artists ever. He's not even just an artist, he's a revolutionary. I would have never imagined if Fela Anikulapo Kuti, if not for YouTube, singing rhythm and blues. That was his original music genre. And was he successful? Nah. He had to come back. He realized, this is not it. He realized it. And he retraced his steps, came back to Africa, went to Ghana, met up with, I can't remember his name, was it Paul? No, not Paul Allen, sorry. Met up with someone else. And guess what they did? They created their own markets. They created a niche, which was Afrobeats, which still survives till date. They created a different industry, different genre of music, and he became successful. He spoke, his songs were stories. They were stories. Some are fictitious, some are realistic. Stories of the struggle of the Nigerian government, the struggles of Nigeria, the Nigerian people, military area and all whatnot. And he became a success, as in people who did not, and he sang in Pidgin. And he's a living, sorry, I said living legend. I apologize. He's a legend. He made his mark. If he were still alive, who says, his son actually got nominated, not once, not twice. There's so many people who have now adopted the Afrobeat as their own genre of music, or try to create their own type. But Femi Kuti got the Grammy nomination not once, not twice. I want to guess it's at least 3 times. And you have several artists who are there, who are singing hip hop and whose lifespan do not exceed 5 years or 3 years. 10 if they're even lucky. 20 if they're very, very good. Very good. So it's important that if you want to be in this category, you might be a late bloomer. So the third type of people are those who change despite their previous success. We all know the story of Steve Jobs, how he founded Apple, was kicked out, and he came back again at the end and he created a revolutionary product or brand, and it changed it till date, even after his death. It's still, soaring high. But what we don't really understand, or some of the things I feel a lot of us are not privileged to understand, is the fact that Steve Jobs left Apple. He was, growing Apple, but because of the people, that's why your team members, they didn't see that vision And he might have been a bit, childish at some point, or a bit strong-headed, or on, should I say, he was not aware of boardroom politics. He wasn't so aware of it. Yeah, eventually what happened to him? He got kicked out. But if you look back at things he did, he founded Next Computers, which at least did fairly well. He founded Apple. Sorry, I said Apple, I apologize. He founded Next Computers. He founded Pixar. Pixar did extreme till date. He had other businesses. So he was not just, oh, this is the only business idea I have, and this is how it's going to be done. And if I don't do it like this, oh no, I'm going to crash or something. Yeah, it pained him, he let it go, but he was successful in other things. So it's important that, and it's important that even as you're the market leader, as you are successful, it's important to always use your rearview mirror to look back, and also use your eyes to look front and know that, oh, what are the opportunities? What are the changes in human behavior, in technology? How can I adapt to it? How can I stay ahead? So it is really, really important that despite your success, oh yeah, you're doing this well, you made this X amount of profit, how else can you, that what else question, what else can you do? How else can I, make an impact? Those things need to be, you need to inculcate that habit. So by being imaginative, by being innovative, it always leads to you outgrowing your competition because you are constantly innovative, your sustainable long-term success, and yeah, profitable changes in your organization because you are innovative. And it always leads to increased revenue because everyone loves an innovative company or brand, even your staff members. So to just wrap it up, it's important that, your business idea, whatever it is, however you structured it to be in whatever industry, if you do not satisfy, you need to go through these steps. You need to satisfy your customers. You need to delight them, make them, excited about your brand, about your idea. You need to engage. Your brand has to be engaging. Your idea has to be really engaging. And at the end, you need to empower them. It's really important that you go through this route because it's one thing to start a business. It's another thing to sustain that business. And at the end of it, whatever your business is, either you're selling animal feed or you sell fish, or you're a farmer, you plant crops. Or you're even selling cars. At the end of it, your customer is still one person. It's still one entity, and that's humans. Your customer is still a human being. A cow or a dog will not pay you money. It's not possible. It's still a human that will buy your product to give to his dog. So at the end of it, if you do not really put your idea to test, or you do not sync your idea with your customers in play, and you do not take them through this journey, it would really, really be detrimental to your business. So it's important that, yes, when others are zigging, you zag. When people are going left, but I'm not saying, oh, just do it for the fun of it, that, oh, I just want to be the odd one out. No, always find a reason to do things differently and, stand out. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Olaolu. That was really, really powerful and very, very insightful. So just to kind of wrap up, I think the key thing is for you to make sure that you're defining the right story for your idea. When it comes to identifying the right idea, you are also thinking about what need can you not just meet, but also exceed as well. And I think the points that Olaolu has shared here have been very, very powerful. Unfortunately, I've not really seen anybody ask any questions just yet. I think maybe that's because a lot of people are really, really reflecting on the information that has been shared. But I just want us to take a few more moments to just ask out there, does anybody have any questions? Please, you can either raise your hand, or so you can use the raise your hand feature, or you can put it in the Q&A and I would read it out. Any questions? Okay. Okay, so Olaolu, I guess the only question I would have to ask you here is, especially in regards to this uncertain time, a lot of people might be thinking that, oh, how do I start a business in the midst of a pandemic? What type of ideas or what kind of needs can I identify and exceed? And is it going to be plausible for me to start a business now? What would be your response to an entrepreneur that has that thought?
Okay, so for me, I believe that there are always two sides to a story: opportunity and hardship. And this pandemic has, brought a lot of hardship, but interestingly, that also brought a lot of opportunities, and it has really shown that amidst the different types of business and different types of needs, there are some basic needs that, exceed everything else. And some of them might be in the agricultural sector. Food, for example, is a necessity. So is it right to start a business now? Yes. Do you really have your thoughts put together to make sure that you come out on top, to make sure that you do a due diligence? You might not be able to do that now because you need to go out and, some offices are not open. Yeah, there's a lot you can get online, but sometimes you actually need to study people, know certain patterns and all whatnot. So that might not be feasible at the moment. But it depends on the business actually. So, but for businesses that are more in the virtual space, well, it's possible to do some form of, research to know who are the likely or target audiences and how well put together your business is, and who are the potential team members, to put in the mix so that you create something really compelling. So it's a question that I would say, there's never a right time. I always hear this: done is better than perfect. It's better to start something. Do not be afraid to fail. Yeah, you might not pick up, but do not be afraid to fail. Start something, and along the line, you'll get to learn a lot. And that's how ideas are really developed. It's not the first step you take. No, it's about the continuous process, and you get to learn as much as possible and fine-tune your ideas. So yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think the key thing here is that you start, and then if you're going to fail, then fail quickly and learn quickly from that failure, and then move on from there as well. So I for example, I always had it in mind that I was going to start this Building Future Entrepreneur series this year. When COVID came, I was like, my God, it is not going to take place. But actually, upon reflection, I then discovered that it even brings a better opportunity for us to have this content, because people can then watch it from the convenience of their own homes. So please don't allow. I think just bringing a bit of biblical perspective to it. The Bible says that if you watch the weather before you sow, you wouldn't sow. So don't worry about the climate. If you have an idea that is not just for yourself alone, but and I guess that might actually be a second question: how can we, even though, like you said, Richard Branson always carries it, most of the brands that we have seen, their founders always carry their personality into the brands or into the ideas that they've developed. But how can an entrepreneur kind of separate themselves away from their own thinking to kind of put themselves in the shoe of their target audience in order to develop the right idea? What would be your recommendation to the entrepreneur listening now?
So I think it's a very tough one. It's a very, very tough one to do. But once you constantly practice honesty, I feel honesty has that element or attributes that it further helps you, differentiate between something real and fake, and you are honest enough to tell yourself that, oh, look, I don't think the people will behave this way. It's also, so honesty is really key for the entrepreneur to be honest. Also, it's about, they call it, when you, is it affective empathy? When you try to mirror, like you dissociate yourself from your own reality and you imbibe the reality of, so it might even be, so I'll cite an example. I worked in the election in Nigeria, especially in the federal government and Rivers State, to really think or create the campaign story. I had to go personally, I had to remove all the shit and I had to, roughen myself up and go on the street and sit with people. I had to do that indirect research of the audience to get what they're talking about. So, I remember I said, oh, listen to people, not when they are all composed and they know you are listening, but no. So it's important to, dissociate yourself and just listen to the audience and see how much information you can get from these people and throwing little questions. It takes content, it takes practice to really get to that. It's not you can't just stand up one day and decide, no, I'm going to be this. No. And also, if you are not so versatile, then yeah, it's important to have people as well who are on your team, who their core expertise is to gather data on your target audience and break it down into snack bits that you can execute, or you can you can what's the word, interpret for your business strategy.
Oh, awesome. So we have another question here. So with the speed of change, with the speed of the change of our world experiences, what advice do you have for brands that may need to reinvent themselves many times and very quickly each time? So yeah, go ahead.
So is it the same question from Rose Odudu?
From Yomi Odukoya. So with the speed of our changing world experiences, what advice do you have for brands that may need to reinvent themselves many times over and very, very quickly?
Well, it's for one thing to realize there's a honest truth, and that truth is we are going to die one day. So, oftentimes, a lot of brands do not have, succession plan in place. But even as entrepreneurs, that okay, I want this brand or business to outlive me. So we are the Lord and Master. We control everything. And with this whole pandemic, and we've just come to realize that there is that reality right now that it is important to be very fluid, have a fluid, as I said, an open mind, because things are set or done. Change is very difficult, especially for we Blacks. It's difficult to change. Oh, this is a route I go all the time. I need to divert. No. There's a diversion on the road. It's going to take longer. It's going to inconvenience me. But as a businessman, even if it is, it's one thing to have that fluid mindset where you are able to notice certain things, and that is why you have, some departments. Well, for big organizations, you have the research and development, R&D departments, and you have those who forecast certain things that this event is going to happen, and you have to adapt. So I do not really think you need to change your brand DNA or your personality of your brand. I do think you need to change the approach in which your business operates. So if your business has been maybe 90% operational in how you having a physical store, Why not take it into half and decide to have a virtual store and invest in maybe logistics? And also that amount of money, also realize that, okay, I need to have a marketing budget, an annual marketing budget, because you also need to talk to people online. They need to know about your stuff and look for, what do you call it? Look for ways you can partner, collaborate with other businesses who might not be in your area. So two things. I'll just wrap up. Brand stretching, and brand stretching is where you do different businesses, but you can all tie everything together. An example is Apple. Apple do phones, they do mobile phones, they do Apple Watch, they do they have the MacBook, they have iPod, they have the iTunes. Brand stretching is everything is still under the same umbrella. You can sign into an Apple device. You can have one account that is already synchronized to everything. But you have other people who do should I even call it brand stretching? They don't even do brand stretching. They just and that is where they go into other businesses that are not tied to their original brand. I'll give an example. Samsung, mobile phones, they do TVs, they do fridge, they do general electronics. Are they all tied together? Does it affect the fridge if their AC is not really cooling? Would it affect the personality and the perception of the brand? Is it all tied together? No. So it's important that you look for ways that to survive, to have several revenue streams. Look at other places you can make money, but at the end, it's still tied to what your brand really stands for. And that will not change. But what would really matter is changing your business dynamics. That we need to do this, A, B, C, D, E, and all whatnot. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. So let's just go to the next question. How do you balance taking agile approach to building your brand and making sure you have done due diligence? As in, do I need to wait until everything is perfect before starting, or just start and refine as I go along?
Okay, so brand building is not a 1 month, or it's not a 100-meter marathon or dash. Sorry, it's not a 100-meter dash, it's a marathon. And that marathon takes time. I've seen several people who have gone online, they created a brand in that business circle. So for them, their own brand is create a logo and just put a catchy word to it. And, they go to purchase an Instagram account. And you notice they have over 50,000 likes, 50,000 followers on Instagram. And you see them posting like their products. And at the end, you look at the metrics. First of all, probably they have less than 50 likes. And you can tell from the onset that these are not your real audience, your real target audience. These people don't even understand what your brand is, or you don't even understand what your brand is all about. Brand building starts from 0 follower to 1 follower, to 2 follower, to 3, to 4, to 10, to 100, to 1,000, to 20,000, to 50,000. Now, when you go through that, when you start from 0 to 1 to 2, it is for you to also develop a way of getting a feedback mechanism from your customers. You might be calling them to say, oh, please, I just wanted to ask, hope the delivery was nice, hope they were polite and all whatnot. Check up on them, customer service, excellent customer service, going beyond that, just exceeding, as I said, not just meeting their needs, you're exceeding their needs. And how would you know? How can you tell? It starts from referrals. There's some businesses, I don't even know it. There's a brand in Nigeria that started as far back as 50s or 40s. They call it Aboniki. This stuff, I don't see no adverts, no billboard or anything. And there are no visible marketers. But it is so popular, and it's based on referrals. And that's one of the ways you can actually tell. You can actually know that, oh yes, your brand building is paying off when word of mouth, because that's much more believable than you advertising. There's a difference between advertising and public relations. And when someone identifies your brand, they can tell, oh, I know this is what your brand stands for. Mm-hmm. So when you have done all that, then it's possible, there are certain things you need to have before you even venture out there. Brand building, first of all, you need to have the brand strategy. That is a document that encompasses what your brand is all about. So how I really do it for my clients, I break it down. There's a research part, the research analysis where your industry, research, industry, everything is done. So you have all those documentations. Your brand strategy, it breaks down what your brand is all about, the DNA and all whatnot. You have your identity manual, your brand identity manual, the look and feel of your brand. So if your brand were to be placed on a black background, this is what it's going to look like. If it is on a white background, this is what it's going to look like. On a monochrome, this is a certain format. So you can tell on social media, this is how your brand is going to be posted, designed and all whatnot. So you know that there is consistency across board. So in a way, yeah, you don't really need to wait until everything is perfect. But can you do those little things? Can you do research? Now you have DIY. So can you do research on, okay, how do I build my brand? What are the key steps to take? So once you've done those little things by yourself, or maybe you have a friend who is also knowledgeable, once you're able to put them together, it's just done is better than perfect, but at least put certain things down. Make sure that you highlight all your points. Make sure that you have documents, not just on the laptop or in your head. Write it down so that even if there's so many people who they can't have potential investors because they do not have certain documents, even about their business plan, they don't have it. Even about their revenue, how much they make, breaking it down, they don't have all that. So even if you're making hair, even all you're doing is making hair and you're accountable, you're putting all that down. So you can start now, but it's knowing what you need in the business, in the financial part, in the brand building part, in the business strategy part, knowing, okay, these are the things I need and these are the documents. So just in case anyone comes, I can present all these things and say, look, all I do is make soup every day. I cook and people come, they order, but I've documented everything and I know this is my plan. These are the other opportunities are there in the market. Okay, I need to go into this in the future. Then you go on shows like, I'm taking your time, but you go on shows like those reality shows that, is it Den or the Dragon's Den? You can answer those questions because you have everything. You will tell them, you bring documents, and it's more, you're a business person. So yeah, it's you can start, but know what you need to have.
Okay, so the final question here is, so I believe that every entrepreneur is going to be somewhat of a CEO, because I think that will be the drive. And my understanding of a CEO is somebody that actually solves tomorrow's problems today. So what kind of a mindset do entrepreneurs need to have now in order for them to be proactive problem solvers so that they don't come late to the party? So for example, one of the things that has made Hapu very, very successful is that they are trend creators. They are not following the trend. They are the ones that are actually creating the trend, and everybody else in the space is trying to catch up. So what kind of mindset do entrepreneurs need to start developing now in order for them to be trend creators in their industry?
If you do realize that most of the top tech CEOs have a particular personality or opinion about life, they're quite open-minded. And it's one of the key things is the top priority on the list. You need to be open-minded, and you must not, restrict yourself to what you were taught in the university, because theory is different from practical. And you must be open-minded because you would learn on the job. There are so many jobs that, you can have all the theory in the world, but when you touch when the practical, when you do your day-to-day business, then you can find certain loopholes and you learn. So, but if you're not open-minded and you feel no, there's always something they say, culture is strategy for breakfast anytime.
Mm-hmm.
You go, imagine a company, multinational, going to different countries to start up. You would know that Axe is not called Axe in America. I think in UK, I think it's called Lynx. But in America, it's called Axe. In another country, it's called something else. In China, so if you're not open-minded, how can you, how can you succeed on a global scale? So you being open-minded is really, really priority. And number two, I think it's about empathy. If you really do have a high level of empathy, a lot of entrepreneurs need to be emotionally intelligent. Not just entrepreneurs, leaders as well. When you're emotionally intelligent, your staff, you can empathize with your staff members, because at the end of the day, your brand of business is not the structure, it's the people. So, and it's about making sure that you're giving them certain incentives that make them loyal, because or else you might lose people to other places. So you must have emotional intelligence. A high level of emotional intelligence to also deal with customers out there as well. And I believe you must be very, open-minded, be fluid, but have your own personality, have your own, know what you really want to achieve and stick to it. And then be stubborn. If I'm to use something bad in a good way, be stubborn. Like, don't give up. It's not easy. Not every one of us are going to succeed in whatever business we'll do. Even the top companies have failed, they flopped. As I said, Google, almighty company, Google Glasses was a flop. Google Plus was a flop. So it's to also be consistent and accept failure. Failure is not a life sentence. Just when you're open-minded, of course, you'll be able to embrace failures, look at it from another perspective, and you can move on in life. But yeah, others will tell you, oh yeah, you have to wake up at 5 a.m., read. But for me, it's just very simple. Be open-minded, have a high level of emotional intelligence, be stubborn, and learn to embrace failures.
Awesome. Yeah. That's really powerful. Thank you so much, Laolu. So just to kind of, absolutely, yeah. So just like Rose said, failure is an event and does not define the person. That's absolutely true. So we shouldn't define ourselves by our experiences alone, but about learning from them and then taking action immediately. So Laolu, just what do you want the audience listening to you today to take on, to take away from your lecture today and start acting on immediately? And for people who want to stay in touch with you, how can they reach out to you and connect with you?
All right, what I want, I would love, so as I prepared for this, I also learned a lot. So, and I'm also, as I'm saying it to everyone, I'm also telling myself that one key thing here is we must, I think I said it again, or I will say it again, we must be open-minded. Mm-hmm. We must be able to look at things differently. Yeah, we see hardship, we see COVID-19, but there's several opportunities, several. I missed an opportunity in January. I was still telling my wife, I had a Chinese friend who sent me a message about face masks and said, oh, do I know someone over 3 million worth of 3 million face masks that he's trying to get across to Nigeria. But so I missed that opportunity. And when I say I missed it, imagine if I had invested and had bought the face mask. I had given a distributor, because I won't sell it, but I redistributed it or maybe sold it to the government or something at a better price than what I bought it, because that's business at the end, is to make profit. So, but we see the hardship, we don't see opportunities. There are opportunities around us. So it is to just, have an open mind to just key into those opportunities, look at things differently, look at the world differently. And one word or one statement that will further help us is when you ask yourself, what else? So that else statement, what else haven't I done? What else can I do? Mm-hmm. It sort of helps you, probe deeper and see things. Okay, what else? Okay, this is here. This is okay. What else haven't I done? What else have I missed out? Mm-hmm. When you keep asking yourself that every day, you are able to, scale into that world of being innovative, because you see things and you see what is there and you see what else can be there. I'll give an example, a glass cup. Everyone sees, okay, so for example, yeah, this is it looks like a glass cup, but everyone sees, when I say, oh, this is a glass, everyone thinks it's a glass cup. Mm-hmm. It's a glass cup, you drink maybe tea. What else can it do? What else can it be? Mm-hmm. That is where you are innovative. Oh, they've turned it to a candle holder. You can decide to, maybe put your toothpick or your toothbrush. You can change anything, that's what innovation really is. What else? When you make those statements, you see things differently, you see opportunities and hardship and all whatnot. So yeah.
Awesome. So I think, yeah.
My website is newedxp.com. Mm-hmm. My email is olaolu@newedxp.com. I'm always open to collaboration, because that's the future. Collaboration is key. So yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to send everybody a recording of this video and also Olaolu's details as well. If you want to reach out to him, I do encourage you to do so, because that's the whole purpose of the webinar. Especially you might need help with developing your business canvas, the idea maps, and also your business plan as well. So I think it will be a very, very good resource. And I believe that what we have learned so far has actually set the bar for consequent webinar sessions. So, and that would lead nicely to the next topic next week, same time at 6 p.m., which is identifying and building the right team. So I'm sure from what you have learned today, you can start thinking about, hey, what would I be looking for in potential partners or teammates or even employees as well. And that will be taken by a very noble mentor of mine, Mr. Yomi Odukoya, who is also with us today, and he will be leading the session next week. So I'd like to give us some time back just to reflect on what we have learned today. And the most important thing is for us to take action and take action now. Thank you so much, and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone.